Right, great to have Emma Payton and Anton Tolui again with us this hour. Good afternoon. We'll start with Tottenham. Could there be a possible return for Christian Eriksen on the cards, and also Dele Alli still being linked with a move away? Emma, what's the latest on that?
Yeah, Dele Alli still being linked with a move away. The story isn't going away, is it? It's been fuelled even more by the fact that he wasn't even on the bench for Tottenham in their win over Sheffield United on Sunday. 9 players on the bench. Even Gedson Fernandes made it on the bench, but Dele Alli didn't. Our information from our Spurs reporter, Paul Gilmore, is that he is fully fit. His absence definitely not injury related. Paris Saint-Germain remain interested in him. Spurs have always maintained that they want him to stay. They want him to fight for his place in that Spurs squad. And they've always said that they would resist a loan move. Now, look, they did take the same approach with Tanguy Ndombele. Of course, the club record signing. That was when he was struggling to impress. And look, he's certainly won Mourinho over now. He's won us all over, I think, certainly with his performance on Sunday as well. But look, a decision to sanction a departure is likely to be made by Daniel Levy, of course. And look, Dele Alli, he wants to play regular football. There is, of course, the Mauricio Pochettino factor in Paris now. And interestingly enough as well, on the back page of The Sun this morning, an exclusive from Charlie Wyatt, who said Dele Alli is confident of sealing a loan move to PSG before the deadline on February the 1st.
Now, there's no mistaking, Anton, that Dele Alli is out of favour. He's not playing as much football as he would like. But is it a good move to PSG, knowing what he's up against, the incredible experience and superstar roster that PSG have available to them?
I mean, that's a fair question. But look, he's definitely got more chance of playing at Paris Saint-Germain than he currently does at Tottenham Hotspur, because he's only played 75 minutes of Premier League football this season. So yes, even though in the last game against Angers they had Mbappe and Neymar and Di Maria all playing, and they also had Moise Kean, he could always play deeper, and it's going to be interesting to see where he fits into that system if he does move. But I'm kind of getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, because he's got to back himself to break into that team, which I'm sure he will, because at the moment he isn't getting anywhere near that Tottenham side, certainly in the Premier League.
What do you think the fans are making of this, Emma? Because Dele Alli is that player that was so pivotal for them over the last couple of seasons. You know, was pivotal in them getting to the Champions League final, and now, you know, he's just not playing.
No, he was pivotal, and I think fans know how good he can be. We all remember that goal against Crystal Palace in 2016. He's aged 19 then, incredible. But it does seem a bit mixed when you look on social media. A few fans that I've spoken to personally say, look, he can't do a lot more, because he's put in good performances when he's been on the pitch. You look at his performance against Ludo Goretz, a 4-0 win in November, then benched in the very next game. Look at their FA Cup win over Marine. Yes, it was Marine, but he was the most creative player on the pitch then, and then was an unused sub against Fulham, not even then on the bench against Sheffield United. And then, like you said, you can't argue with those saying he's being wasted on the bench. 75 minutes of Premier League football this season. And you've got to think as well, just as recently as March, he became the youngest English midfielder to score 50 Premier League goals. That is, by the way, 3 years ahead of his closest competitor in Frank Lampard. Ooh. You've also got, you know, Beckham, Scholes, Gerrard on that list behind him. We know how good he can be. He's only 24. Maybe a new environment would help reignite his career. We've talked about those links with Mauricio Pochettino. And look, there's the England factor as well. You know, the Euros coming up. He's nowhere near that squad at the moment. Time is running out. It's not too far away now. And I mentioned earlier on Good Morning Transfers, you look at the likes of John Stones as well, who they've reignited their international careers, haven't they? So, you know, it will be interesting to see what happens. But I think fans a little bit mixed at this moment in time. You
mentioned some illustrious midfielders there, didn't you? You mentioned the likes of Beckham, and you mentioned the likes of Gerrard and Lampard and what they achieved at similar ages. And we've got to remember, we were talking about Dele Alli as kind of, you know, the breakout young star, like you said, when he was 19, and the performances. That's got 18 goals when he was 19, 20 years of age in a Premier League season, playing 3,000 minutes in a Premier League campaign, not 75 minutes like it is now. So it's going to be fascinating, because it has, you know, yeah, he did okay last season when he played in the team. But look at what Mauricio Pochettino got out of him previously. A goal involvement every 146 minutes, which is fantastic, again, considering he was relatively young at the start of that reign as well. So you can completely understand why Dele Alli is keen on a move to Paris Saint-Germain. But again, if you're Tottenham and you've got a player like Dele Alli, would you necessarily want to get rid of him? Because we all know their reliance on Heung-min Son and Harry Kane for goals. They're not guaranteed goals anywhere else in that team. apart from Gareth Bale, who also can't get into the team, regardless if he plays in the midweek games as well. So maybe it's just a fact, though, that just like, look, it's a condensed season. We don't want to take any risks. Keep Dele Alli, especially considering if he plays well between now and the end of the season for us, we can maybe even sell him for more money in the summer.
So we're not just looking at outgoings at Tottenham. There's a possible return, a possible incoming Christian Eriksen. Yeah. Remember him?
Yeah, no, I do actually. Yeah. Well, I remember him because we spoke a hell of a lot about him last January, and Inter Milan just so wanted to bring him to the club. They didn't want to wait until he was a free agent in the summer. Went ahead and paid to get him at the club, and he's actually one of Inter Milan's highest earners now. But this January, it's all about them trying to get rid of him. So it sounds like. Anyway, it just hasn't worked out for him, has it, at all? And the info that we have from our Spurs reporter, Paul Gilmore, is that Christian Eriksen is very much keen on a return to Tottenham this month. Spurs would be open to a loan move in the right circumstances, must say, and there aren't any formal discussions at this stage. And look, Inter Milan very much happy for him to go out on loan because they think he's in the shop window then, and they'll be able to get some money for him in the summer. Did play the whole of their 2-1 Coppa Italia win against Fiorentina last week, then was an unused sub again against Juventus on Sunday. And to be fair, he does continue to go away and deliver for his country, though. So, he does look like he's in all right form.
It wasn't that long ago, though, Anton, that Christian Eriksen sat in front of everyone and said, I'm not happy at Spurs, I want to leave. 12 months later, he wants to come back. What's been the reason behind the change of heart? And is there any point in his thinking where you think maybe he'll just stay and fight for a place?
I think it's been made abundantly clear by Antonio Conte, who's said he needs to show character and fight for the team, that it hasn't worked out. Now, is a fit in the formation, the famous three at the back that Conte plays. Clearly, he doesn't think there's a role for Christian Eriksen. He kind of sees him as a luxury. Played him in the game that Emma was talking about in the Coppa Italia. The game was disappointing from Inter's point of view. Went to extra time, which is what they did not want. And they played Eriksen in a very deep role. And he wasn't exactly massively impressive. Again, he's really struggling to take hold of these games in Italy at the moment. Obviously, we've discussed previously about how he struggled to settle, finding a home, living in Italy during the pandemic couldn't have been easy either. But you've got to remember, Christian Eriksen got paid. He got paid in the summer. He is one of the highest paid players in Inter. And, the fact of the matter is, if Emma says, oh, well, Tottenham are interested if they can they're interested if they can get him at a discount. They're interested if they can basically say, well, we weren't going to give you a massive pay rise, the new contract you wanted originally anyway. So if we can kind of get you on terms that roughly similar you were on before, yeah, you can come back because we basically we've gained something because we sold you for 20 million euros. So, yeah, win-win for Tottenham if they can get that, definitely. I bet they'll be delighted.